I'm talking about 1805. This guy, Jacob, I think was his name. He was the first official clown. He painted his face up. He acted like a total buffoon in public for laughs, okay? You ain't never seen nothing like this before. You're sitting there at a cocktail party and this guy comes walking up. His face is all painted up like a clown. He's got red hair going around in like the horseshoe style with the bald head, right? He's got the red nose that he goes honk, 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 right? It's funny. You never seen it before. You're laughing now. He got that honking nose. He got them big clown shoes. You ain't never seen nothing like it. It's killing ya. You're cracking up. You're cracking up. Here you are with your friends sitting around the poker table. Look over here. Look at Eddie. He's dressed up like a dang. You don't even know what the word for clown is because you ain't never heard of it before. You just say, here, he's got his face all painted up. He's got that red nose. He's honking it. He got them big, giant, floppy shoes and baggy overalls. What's he doing now? He's pulling the handkerchief out of his pocket, but it just keeps going and going. And I'm cracking up. Because I ain't never seen nothing like this before. There was a time when clowns was a new concept. That's what we're missing now today, people. There are no more new concepts. Ain't nothing new under the sun, okay? That a little bit later, maybe 130 years later than that, you got the advent of television. Now you got people whose idea of comedy is based on what they learned from the clowns. Old man sits back on his lazy boy watching the television he just bought. So proud that he even has a television. This thing is like the peak technology of its time. He turns it on. And what is on there? The Three Stooges. What is this? What am I about to see here? Three Stooges? Okay, I'll give it a look. I'll see what they have to say. He doesn't know. They ain't got nothing to say. They just got a bunch of hijinks and slapstick humor of the likes of which he has never seen and he finds hilarious. The way that they poke each other in the eyes and go boing. The way that they flutter each other's noses and go and they put each other in them headlocks and tickle each other's faces. And that's funny to him. Because he ain't never seen it before. Is it that hard to understand, people? And you sit there and you mock me and you sit back in your couches and you say, oh, his beard is getting out of control. It's so fuzzy. Yeah, he's getting all fat now. He said he was doing a 1 meal a day diet. Maybe that's true, but I'll bet you he's snacking all night looking at them cheeks. They more like jowls on a bulldog, huh? I try to come on YouTube and tell you people my thoughts about clowns. And you sit back and you laugh. Well, you know what? Maybe that's fitting, because I'm talking about clowns after all. And maybe I'm the one clowning around, huh? Maybe I'm the one clowning around. I love you.
Greetings, everybody. Welcome to Tales from the Fallen World with Tim and Amber. And I'm Tim.
I'm Amber.
And that's still how we're going to... Like that. Like this. Yeah, so glad to have you guys here tonight as we sit in our humble and child-ravished kitchen here in the beautiful state of Wisconsin. You know, we don't have a specific themed show tonight. Instead, you know, there's a lot going on, both in the world, as always, and then also just for us personally. And I'm not going to bore you with all those details, but we've been going through a lot. We've been pretty busy, right, Amber?
Yeah, always.
How have you been, Amber?
Good. I mean, kind of stressed, to be honest. So there's a lot going on. We're kind of sick right now.
Yeah, we've been sick all week. This last week we had 6 kids in our little abode here. I don't want to give details because it's kind of sensitive in nature, but we're kind of foster parents right now at the moment, which is good, and it's a blessing, and that's working out real good. But yeah, so we've just been so busy in our personal life. And meanwhile, there's been so much going on in the world as far as, you know, I'm continuing to work on some projects behind the scenes. So for this show, if you couldn't tell by the thumbnail, you know, the Fallen World Funhouse, I'm just going to be getting into all types of stuff. And when I say I mean we are. But supposing that, I don't know if there's anything you wanted to bring up before we start getting into the content, Amber.
Like what?
Okay. Okay, then the answer is no then. But no, yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, so as far as things going on in the world, probably the very most important thing right now worldwide that everybody's talking about is this. And I'm sure everybody's seen the infamous Will Smith slap. And, you know, there's a lot of people talking about if it's real or fake. What do you think, Amber?
So, you know, I don't know. I don't know. It looks real to me, but, like, I always question things like this, you know. And I do want to add that I wouldn't have even known about the Oscars if it wasn't for these sweeping headlines of Will Smith slapping him.
Right.
Obviously I just don't care.
Yeah, no, I haven't. I couldn't name a single Oscar moment from, you know, any year previous to this.
I don't know. I can't say, like, it could be, it couldn't be.
All right, so
I don't know.
What people have been throwing around out there, and this is all stupid, by the way, and that's what we're really going to be getting into here. But, you know, people have been throwing around. So first off, like, look at this picture, Amber. You see how, like, Chris Rock is, like, looks like he's leaning into it. Keeps his hands in his pockets the whole time, like even the way that Smith slaps him. And there's a lot of people out there saying, no, it's totally staged. And what would the motivation of that be? Well, some are saying, like Chris Rock, for example, has now like had 2 sold out comedy events since this has happened, you know.
Right.
Will Smith, but then people are like, well, there's no way that Chris Rock would agree to, you know, getting bee slapped in front of the whole world like that. And there's no way that Will Smith would just ruin his career like that. Plus,
but it's not. And like, it's not going to ruin his career.
Well, and for me, like, I'm always approaching anything when it comes to Hollywood. Like, I mean, it's all a puppet show, especially when you're dealing with actual actors. And so I didn't care. Actually, I didn't even know this happened until like more than a day afterwards. But when I finally saw the footage, and I was thinking to myself, I was like, well, man, I don't know. It seems real. It does seem real because the way that Will Smith is getting all choked up and he's like yelling from the crowd. And he's like, keep my wife's name out your effing mouth. And like, because it sounded like he was getting choked up too much to like, you know, but then I remembered, I'm like, oh yeah, but he also just won an award for the best actor.
Dude, no.
It's like, these are actors I'm dealing with.
It's like, I just feel like, obviously, I just look in depth, like there's a bigger picture. I feel like this.
Yes.
They want us to see this and be entertained by this. And also I'm like, okay, what is really happening though? Like, this is our distraction. Like, what's really going on?
Oh yeah, of course.
You
like,
know?
yeah, that's the whole purpose of celebrities in the first place. Okay, so some are saying that could be why it's fake. You know, obviously the Oscars have been slipping in the ratings for so long that an event like this, or you know, something like this could just, obviously they knew it would go viral, bring in ratings, get people talking about it again. His MK Ultra programming came with the slap. But yeah, no, man, that made me lose my track of thought there. No, you know, the Oscars have been losing, you know, interest and like not having very good ratings in recent years. So people are saying that could have to do with it. Well, let me say this before we move on. When you're a hardcore tinfoil hat wearing, card carrying conspiracy nut, and you're aware of, you know, how these celebrated people, as I'm always saying on this channel, you know, that their real role is to influence culture. Like, and when you understand that, then it's deeper than any of those things, like business. So check this out. And by the way, if it could be real. When it comes to when you can see an agenda playing out, or when you start to see the way that the conditioners and or I guess let's just say the government, for lack of a, you know, a more specific term, but when it comes to these agendas playing out, when you can see that something is an agenda, it doesn't always mean that it's on the back of a false flag, like a completely fabricated event. Like, it's either sometimes it'll be a completely fabricated event, so it could be fake, and other times it's just, you know, when opportunity knocks, you know, they just take advantage of it. So that they will, like, it's not uncommon to just hijack an actual incident, like a man, because it's also reasonable. Like, hey, it's reasonable that Smith could have really just went up and smacked Chris Rock after he made a joke about Jada, because it wasn't that long ago. And I don't care about the celebrity stuff, and I don't even want to make this show like that. That's not what we're about. But if you guys don't know, like, you know, she cheated on him with some rapper dude that's like her son's age,
right?
And like a friend with her son or something like that, and then just totally called out her husband on her. I mean, the Smith family is just so weird, man. So anyways, I could almost see like, I'm like, it's not impossible that Will Smith just feels, you know, out of just embarrassment and
right. And like, there's all these memes being made of, like, with his tears coming out of his eye. Like, he was publicly, like, humiliated over this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But I mean,
but again,
or he's just like, or he's just acting out his role. But these are some things I thought were interesting that started popping up in regard to this whole thing that, of course, the world is obsessing over. I know. Steve's like, what is this now? Fallen World Entertainment Tonight? I know, man. We're like the new TMZ. Will Smith, Chris Rock, and when words are violent too. So here's a narrative that can be taken from this, right? This has been something that they've been pushing, words being violent. Chris Rock's joke maybe warranted the slap. And maybe it's not, let's not just put the assault under the spotlight. This is what a lot of articles, this is kind of a media spin that you can find all over.
No,
let's
Chris
not just
was violent first.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, exactly. And what he did was violent too. Will Smith, Chris Rock, and the hypocrisy of us all. At the Oscars, in the midst of a slap, we missed the deep pain of how we ignore a certain kind of violence. How about that? Violence and how to define it. It's a bit astounding. It's always only this is real small lettering for me. It's always only the obvious. Weapons and war and physical force. Violence is a slap on Hollywood's most sacred stage. Violence is a slap on Hollywood's most sacred stage. It is never the ways in which we can tear people down. It is rarely recognized as racism, sexism, xenophobia, classism, ableism, anti-queer, or oppression of any kind. And you already know what this is, where this is going. But you know, when you consider the narrative that's been pushed out and that continues to be rolled out, suddenly the slap maybe does start to seem a lot more staged, because does it not just tuck in so nicely to as far as starting conversation or keeping the conversation going about this stuff? Hey, glad to have you, Catherine. Really glad to have you. There's another, you know, Joe Rogan. Not that I'm okay, but Joe Rogan up here, because obviously he was just supposed to be canceled by the whole world, right, because his speech is real dangerous. Same happened, you know, with Dave Chappelle. Yeah. And so comedy, you know, we put out on this channel a few months ago when Norm Macdonald died. Obviously, you know, we're born again Christians and it's a Christian channel. But I like comedy. You know, I fancy myself a funny guy. I make myself laugh. The little intro is just a good demonstration of kind of a part of my personality, just liking to goof around. I like comedy. And that clown around. There you go. And so yeah, we made this video about Norm Macdonald, which you should watch. It's called Remembering Norm Macdonald. But it's really to make a larger point about free speech, and about how important it is to, like, you know, have thick skin and to be able to joke about things and to be able to take a joke, and all this stuff is important. And you know, a lot of people have been talking about that for a long time, but it should be real easy for you now in this current culture to understand just how important it is to have your free speech and to be able to joke and all this kind of stuff. So again, I don't know what was up with the slap, but I do think it's possible that, you know, that it was just another excuse to push this narrative a little more. Renee, once again, I'm drinking out of my favorite mug that you sent.
Cheers.
I love you, babe. Okay. But you know what? I don't care about the slap. Let me tell you what the really stupid thing going on. Let me tell you what the real news should be. What everyone should really be freaked out about is, why the heck do we even have these award ceremonies still?
Dude, seriously.
Dude, so long.
What, we have to just stare at the stage.
Yeah.
These people getting golden statues.
Right. And like, long before I was even awake, like even growing up as a kid, like it occurred to me how bizarre it was and is, you know, that in our culture, like we have these awards, like you already have these celebrities who are paid millions and millions of dollars to just play and to just live in luxury and to just, you know, live in decadence and to set real bad examples of worldly things, you know. And you already, obviously, I don't got to describe for you what a celebrity is, right? And then they, you know, by the way, now the Grammys are coming up, and I was just reading in the news how like everybody's worried because it's in Las Vegas and they don't have all the usual resources that they have in LA. So like they're saying that, you know, there aren't enough tailors for all the celebrities to get their suits made, and there's not enough sports cars for the celebrities to use, and all. You could look into that yourself. But the point is, this culture we're in, where we just celebrate these people, you know, and then we sit around our TVs. You know, growing up, I think about like when TV was really more of a thing, you know, and it was a real deal. Like whether it's the Oscars or the Grammys or the VMAs or all these different stupid award ceremonies that would always go on. I know of families out there that would sit around as a family, right? And they would watch these celebrities receive golden trophies. You know, they're all, mind you, these are already like these, you know, you've got these like lower class people that are sitting around, sometimes brought to tears, like, oh, well, you know, Tom Hanks should have won that. He did a better job in the thing. And it just points out how important entertainment is to us, you know, and which is a bad thing. We've recently.
Also, it's irritating because it's like people look at, you know, they look at these people as like idols, and it's like they're just regular human beings that are in this role.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah. Hey, Mark of the Beast Resistance just popped in. Good to see you, buddy. Yeah, you have been off the radar, man. I check in on your channel every once in a while. But glad to have you here, buddy. Hope God's blessing you and hope you're doing good. Hope you stick around. But anyway, so yeah, this whole celebrity worship thing, man, it's so ridiculous, you know, like, Tim, play that video now. Look, check this out too. Like, as far as worshiping a golden statue goes, I think it's kind of interesting, the similarity between this Osiris, Oscar, and then you can't see what it says here because of my logo, but it says Ptah. And they're the Ptah and Osiris obviously are Egyptian gods. And this is like a standard way that figurines would be made to represent these guys. So that's interesting, right? But anyways, I made this little video to better highlight why award ceremonies are so stupid, right? And this, to me, what you're about to see right here is the real issue, far more so than the maybe real, maybe fake, stupid slap.
Thank you to Satan for giving me inspiration on how to play this role.
Who wants to pray to the devil with me? Who's in with me? Come on, hey, let me see those horns. Let me see those horns. Mental, mental, mental.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here tonight.
Good evening, godless sodomites.
What are you doing?
I'm bringing the truth, John. We're in Hollywood, the belly of the beast.
You can't just read the prompter?
I'm reading the prompter in here. You can read that pablum.
Award show banter is not pablum. Reality television celebrates the human condition. By illuminating what's extraordinary in the ordinary person.
It warps the minds of our children and weakens the resolve of our allies.
A lot of people come up here and they thank Jesus for this award. I want you to know that no one had less to do with this award than Jesus. He didn't help me a bit. If it was up to him, Caesar Milan would be up here with that damn dog. So all I can say is, suck it, Jesus. This award is my God now.
Welcome to the Satanic Cult Awards, ladies and gentlemen. All hail the Dark Lord.
You know, they say that Led Zeppelin sold their souls to Satan. Come on, guys, you know you did. There's no other way to explain your ungodly talents. I just want to say thank you, because while you're in hell, the human race will cherish your heavenly jams till the end of time. A small price to pay.
On behalf of Amy, I'd like to thank the devil and all the dark lords who
Don't do the devil stuff.
gave her this award
Don't do the devil stuff.
and allowed her to feast on the flesh of the innocent.
Thanks, everybody.
We're here to honor achievement in that category.
By giving you a golden idol to worship.
Kneel before your God, Babylon! Oh, hand to the person next to you. Come on, lady. Dear Dark Lord Satan, hope everything's good with you. I'm doing fine myself. Just want to say hi and ask you to grant tonight's nominees continued success in the music industry. How's that?
Yeah, so that's who the world's worshiping, you know. So let's just stop worshiping these celebrities, and let's stop talking about the Will Smith thing. Hollywood is truly evil and always has been. Yeah, it has. Did you know that magic wands, back in the old days of the why am I forgetting what to call them? I don't want to. They're not pagans. They are pagans, but a specific kind. But anyways, the original magic wand, you know, that's wielded by witches and wizards. It's made out of the wood of a holly tree. It's made out of Hollywood. Something I learned from Jordan Maxwell. Sarah Lerner popped on. Hey, Sarah. Mo,
Hey,
I see.
Sarah.
I am seeing what you're going through, buddy. I'm really sorry, man. I don't want to publicize it here on the show, but reach out to me anytime, man. I'd be glad to talk with you and pray with you and, you know, be a friend to you through this. Okay, so Amber, did you see anything about this Cawthorn guy? If you didn't, I don't know much about him either.
No.
But here's a headline that was really shocking everybody a little while ago, earlier this week. When was this? 3/27. Anyways, Cawthorn says DC Elite invited him to orgy and did cocaine in front of him, right? And so that caught my eye, and like he's pretty much goes on and is just kind of describing, well, you know, I'm going to read this article. I've been clean for 20 years, delivered by the blood. Amen, Catherine.
That's awesome.
Wish I could say the same. I still, you know, I still smoke and drink a little bit, trying to, I aspire to having a totally clean, sober lifestyle one day, by God's grace. Representative Madison Cawthorn, a new a North Carolina Republican, I think congressman, I can't see because of my stupid thing here, said in an interview that leaders that he looked up to in Washington, D.C. invited him to an orgy and did cocaine in front of him. Cawthorn, 26, is a freshman congressman and is currently the youngest member of Congress. He has drawn criticism from Democrats and Republicans alike for some of his controversial views during his tenure serving the people of North Carolina. The staunch supporter of former President Donald Trump made the remarks about the orgy and the drug use during an interview, which was first broadcast on Thursday with Warrior Poet Society, hosted by John Lavelle. In the interview, Lavelle asked the congressman about the popular Netflix series House of Cards, which had 6 seasons from 2013 to 2018 and starred actors Kevin Spacey and Robin Wright. The fictitious show featured the story of a corrupt politician and his wife as they blackmailed and clawed their way to greater and greater power in the nation's capital. Lavelle asked him if the show is an accurate representation of how DC operates. I heard a former president that we had in the 90s was asked the question about this, and he gave an answer that I thought was so true. He said that the only thing not accurate in that show is that you could never get a piece of legislation about education passed that quickly, Cawthorn responded. Amber, this is supposed to be a picture of Bohemian Grove right here. I don't know what happened. This picture on the top right that's all gray is Molech, the famous, demon statue at Bohemian Grove in
it's
the Redwood.
Pixelated, like all gray and weird.
Yeah, so that's weird. I'm not saying it's anything creepy necessarily, but I hope I'm not going to get into Bohemian Grove. If you guys don't know about that, you should, and you ought to look it up right away. But anyways, Cawthorn's. And so in House of Cards, by the way, there's an episode I'm about to show you a clip from where they pretty much reference the Bohemian Grove very specifically. And over here on the like I said, I wasn't able to put the picture in, but the Bohemian Grove is a giant resort that's like hidden out in the redwood forests out in San Francisco, California. And it's like a men's only retreat where they have these annual meetings where all of the most elite people in America are invited. And it's famous because they do all these weird rituals and things like that. Look up Bohemian Grove, look up cremation of care. But check this out. Cawthorn's reference to a former president discussing House of Cards appears to be about a 2015 interview Spacey. Now remember Kevin Spacey, okay? And think of his current legacy, right? That he did with Gotham magazine. The actor, Kevin Spacey, said that at the time he and former President Bill Clinton, a Democrat, are friends. So is that, of course they are, this is some Epstein stuff, right? And it is. And so I just thought that was kind of funny that this was in that article, Kevin Spacey, Bill Clinton, all friends. And Bill Clinton is the one that tells Kevin Spacey, House of Cards, your show, is just like Spacey said that Clinton told him the show was largely accurate and that he enjoyed it. Now, Amber, check out this little clip from an episode of House of Cards.
Look around. Some of the most powerful men in the world are gathered in this clearing. Members of one of our country's most exclusive clubs. Invitation only, unless, of course, you invite yourself.
Have to pause it so we don't get a copyright strike.
They gather here to seek God between the branches of these magnificent trees. They eat together, they piss next to each other, and they carve up the world like a Sunday roast. This is where the real power is. No women or presidents allowed. The former I am not, the latter I will be again.
This is realistic, according to...
Because I have managed to reduce a national election down to one state. And while these men here can't swing the votes of an entire nation, one measly state, well, that they can do. And that's why I'm here.
All right, and so you get the idea. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to do this. Okay, so anyways, the sexual perversion that goes on in Washington. I mean, being kind of a young guy in Washington, average age is probably 60 or 70, Cawthorn said. And this is a handsome young guy, although he's in a wheelchair. I look at a lot of these people, a lot of them that I've looked up to through my life. I've always paid attention to politics. Then all of a sudden you get invited to oh, hey, we're going to have this sexual get together at one of our homes. You should come. And I imagine this, I come from a history of being in rock bands and stuff like that. So I'm not too sensitive about a lot of stuff like that. Although I am growing more and more sensitive to such things the longer that I'm saved. The things of the world grow strangely dim and the things of God become more attractive to me. But I got to say, I'm pretty rough around the edges. Point is, I think of this guy. You got this young Republican kind of guy, like really innocent, and he makes it all the way into Congress. And suddenly all these people that he's looked up to and read books by, that he supports the things that they stand behind as Republicans in terms of, their policies and stuff. And they're like, hey, in reality, like we do weird sex parties and we're all swingers and we all do drugs, even though we go on TV and try to criminalize drugs and say you shouldn't do, So it's just, anyways.
Did you swear?
No, I don't think so. I swore? No, I didn't swear. If I swore, say what it was, because
whatever.
Sometimes I accidentally swear, but
no, I have, and you made sure to call me out.
I try not to swear. He was disabled in a car accident. Okay. Cawthorn then put on a shocked expression, saying his response was, "What did you just ask me to come to?" And then you realize that they're asking you to come to an orgy. The Republican lawmaker also said that some of the people who are leading on the movement to try and remove addiction in our country have done a bump of cocaine right in front of him. So anyways, what's funny about this is these more recent news headlines that have come since this original one. Cawthorn's orgies and drugs comment stirs trouble within Freedom Caucus. The ultra-conservative group's chair says he wants to speak with the North Carolina Republican about his salacious claims concerning his colleagues. Cloud of notoriety builds over Cawthorn over sex and drugs claims. The North Carolina conservative could be hard to defeat. His latest wild claims about his colleagues are making some Republicans want to try. So he's scaring. Everybody's getting shook up, because they're like, oh no, we can't have this guy come in and expose us, Republicans turn on Representative Cawthorn as top North Carolina GOP officials back his primary challenger. So anyways, I'm really amused by that, but interested by it as well. Okay, did you guys decide if I said a swear word?
No, no.
Oh, thank you. Look at this, you guys. I told you, man. I work on that. Did you know I went a couple years without hardly swearing at all, and then
and then I come around and
then I got
okay. I do no. I really do swear way too much. I also work around a bunch of kids that literally say I was born in the 1900s.
Oh, right, where you work at. Well, we also live in a house with a bunch of little kids. When you have 5 kids, then it's it's still just as bad to swear, but it's a little more expected and tolerable. Okay, Amber, what does this remind you of? I know I brought it up too, but
so going on a date at
when
the movies.
When me and
our
you,
last date was when we went to go see.
We went to see a movie, and we had the whole theater to ourselves. The whole theater to ourselves. And we're sitting there, and it was a real stupid movie. We were we got away from the kids, we were we got to do something.
No, it was The Purge 3.
Yeah.
It was
it was one of the Purge movies, but I was like,
wait, really quick though.
All right.
Wasn't it before Trump was president and was all this propaganda on against him? Was it before he was president?
I don't remember. I think it was before he was president.
I think so too.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what we really love horror movies and
But I love horror movies though.
Psychological thrillers.
I think it's bad. I think it's bad. At best I'd call it a guilty pleasure, but
okay, fine, whatever.
Well, but then again, in a way you could say even Fallen World Films in my own videos are kind of in that
whatever. I like horror movies.
I
like dark
I do
stuff.
too. I just wanted to, it sounds weird to say I love horror movies because I kind of associate it with evil, but I don't love evil, but you guys know what we're talking about. Okay, but this is the thing. We're sitting in this movie watching The Purge, and we're finally away from the kids. This whole theater was all to ourselves.
No, really quick. Okay, you're not telling it right. So at our movie theater by our house, there's there's like a screen that you have to like physically like select your seats. Like we bought the tickets online and then like we showed up and they were like, okay, where do you want to sit? And literally the entire theater was like open. So we got first pick. This movie has been out for like a really long time. We wanted to go see a movie and this was like the one we chose.
Right.
So we had like,
it just happened to be, it was the best of our options.
Yeah. Like we had first pick. So like we picked our seats and we're like, oh, these are perfect. Middle of the screen, like couple rows from the very top. This is where we'll sit. And then so we get our snacks, whatever, go sit down. The movie is about to start and we're like literally the only people in there. Dude, I can't believe this even happened. Okay. So like the movie's about to start and like, so this dad comes in with his 2 teenage kids, I'm guessing, like I'm pretty sure it was like a dad and his 2 kids. And so we see them walk in. We're like, oh, the movie was about to start. We thought we would be the only people.
Right. We're
whatever.
Like, oh, man.
There's 3 more people. Who cares?
We still got the place to ourselves.
Okay. So they start like walking up the aisle. Obviously, you don't want to be by the screen.
Right.
And
what'd they do? Let me show you.
No, the teenage boy, I'm not even kidding you. It was a completely empty, what's it called? A completely empty.
I was just laughing.
Theater.
Theater. It's called a theater, right?
Completely empty theater. And like the teenage boy literally sat right next to me, not even a seat in between us.
We ended up with this family that even had kids. It was actually just a dad. There wasn't a lady there like this, but this was us, whole theater, and then these people showed up. And what was weird is that the movie we were watching was like awfully inappropriate.
It was
for yeah, I mean probably even for us, but let alone like these kids. And it was like we were just like talking about that with each other even during the movie. Like, dude, I can't believe that these kids are. It just felt really awkward and strange, like to even be in their presence with the stuff going on. Anyways, so now we're getting into this don't say gay stuff that is really a thing going on right now. But before we do, we got to have a quick word from our sponsor. And quick word from the sponsor, and then that'll lead into another special video as we get into our report on the don't go say gay on the don't say gay movement. Okay.
The world is full of places to explore and things to discover. There's truly so much to see. But unfortunately, we are sometimes forced to see things that we don't like, people that we do not agree with, facts that we refuse to accept. A recent study shows that over 90% of adults who have viewed offensive materials have experienced hurt feelings. But not anymore. Introducing Sight Shield. The first and only set of glasses designed to protect your eyes from bigotry and misinformation. Thanks to Sight Shield's patented Boo-Hoo Block technology, you can now live in peace, safely hidden from everything going on around you. Here's how it works. We take an ordinary pair of sunglasses and we apply not 1, not 2, but 10 layers of window tint to the lenses, making it nearly impossible to see what's clearly right in front of you. This ensures that your eyes will always remain covered, even in the most bigoted and triggering environments. And here's the best part. If you order your set of Sight Shield glasses within the next 48 hours, we'll throw in a pair of our famous Fear Plug earplugs absolutely free. Now you can protect your eyes and ears from reality simultaneously. So what are you waiting for? Order yours today. Sight Shield, a proud sponsor of Fallen World Films.
I know mine work good. I often like to just sit down and I've said this before, but I just sit back on the couch and I put on MSNBC, turn the volume all the way up, pop in my fear plugs, throw on my sight shields, and I can't be bothered, man. So it's a good product. I know it works. I can tell you from experience, and I definitely suggest you get it before that special deal runs out, because you're going to want those earplugs as well. Almost fear plugs. I'm sorry. Stand corrected. Okay, so before we get into this topic, here we go. Here's your introduction to our little thingy here.
Florida's controversial legislation passing, now sent to the governor there tonight. It's called the Parental Rights in Education Bill. Critics call it the Don't Say Gay Bill.
Got a bit of breaking news out of Florida. In the last hour, the state's governor, Ron DeSantis, signed the controversial Parental Rights in Education Bill. This new law, dubbed the Don't Say Gay Bill by its opponents, bans classroom instruction on sexual orientation or gender identity in the kindergarten through the third grade.
A battle over Florida's Don't Say Gay bill could mean big changes for Disney World.
Well, David, at Disney's annual shareholder meeting, CEO Bob Chapek responded to the criticism for failing to come out in opposition to that so-called Don't Say Gay bill.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has signed into law what critics are calling the Don't Say Gay bill. This controversial measure limits instruction about gender identity and sexual orientation in elementary schools. It has drawn intense scrutiny from LGBTQ advocates, students, the White House, and the entertainment industry.
Governor Ron DeSantis has signed into law what critics call the Don't Say Gay bill.
Florida now, where Governor Ron DeSantis has signed into law the controversial Don't Say Gay bill that restricts classroom instruction about sexual orientation and gender identity in elementary schools.
Now, students in grades K through 12 have gone through a lot over the past couple years, between COVID restrictions, ever-changing mask mandates, debates now over critical race theory, and the newly introduced Don't Say Gay bill in Florida. All these heavy topics are impacting students' mental health.
Today, Governor Ron DeSantis signed the controversial Don't Say Gay bill, as critics call it, into law. The legislation has sparked heated debate across the nation for months now.
Florida's controversial and contentious Don't Say Gay bill is officially the law. Governor DeSantis signing it yesterday.
Yeah, President Biden has denounced the measure as hateful. The Walt Disney Company has vowed to help repeal the law.
Show it off, official.
Tonight, it's official. Florida's controversial Don't Say Gay bill, as it's known by critics, signed into law by Governor Ron DeSantis.
We will make sure that parents can send their kids to school to get an education, not an indoctrination.
We should be able to have discussions, and that's what we're encouraged to do in kindergarten. And then personally, because my kids do have questions. They want to know who my partner is in pictures outside of my classroom, and I should be able to speak to that. It scares me that I am not going to be able to have these conversations with my children, because they're going to ask me what I did on the weekend. I don't want to have to hide that my partner and I went paddleboarding this weekend, because then they ask, well, what does partner mean, Mr. Bernard? And, I'm worried, can I tell them what it means? I'm also worried for my kids. I have a little girl this year who has two moms, and the kids are curious about her two moms. They want to know about her two moms. If they go to her and ask her about her two moms and she doesn't know what to say, they're going to come to me and ask me. And then, so what do? It opens up for parents to really take some legal action against the schools and teachers, and I am afraid for myself, my colleagues, and my students.
So during third period, we have announcements and they do the Pledge of Allegiance. My room does not have a flag. It used to be there, but I took it down during COVID because it made me uncomfortable. And I packed it away and I don't know where, and I haven't found it yet. My kid today goes, hey, it's kind of weird that we just stand and then, we say it to nothing. And I'm like, oh, well, I gotta find it. In the meantime, I tell this kid, we do have a flag in the class that you can pledge your allegiance to. And he looks around, he goes, Oh, that one? She points to the LGBTQ pride flag.
When she called me, I was shaking and crying, and I just couldn't even form thoughts. I was very upset.
Dawn Snodgrass, livid after hearing a political discussion in her daughter's class, took a turn.
And the teacher said that it's sinful to be trans and change your body. I was very infuriating because I have a lot of friends that are the LGBTQ, and then I am.
12-year-old Kerrigan says this isn't the first time something like this has happened.
After they brought up the Bible and that they were killing back then, there was no need for that to be brought up.
The principal telling Kerrigan's mother that her daughter's teacher was humiliated, horrified, and sorry.
She knew what she had done and that she won't do it again. And I told him that's not enough for me.
Florida yesterday, that controversial parental rights in education bill, also known as the Don't Say Gay bill, was signed into law. Doesn't Florida have other things to worry about, like drunk driving their ATVs into the swamp? I mean, I kind of love it's called Don't Say Gay because you have to say gay to say it. But the bill itself is ridiculous. It bans kindergarten through third grade educators from addressing topics of sexual orientation or gender identity. That way they can focus on the important things, like teaching the kids how to play the recorder. Under the new law, a teacher can't explain to a second grader that their governor is a dickhead. That kind of language is not allowed anymore. It's up to parents to explain that their governor is a dickhead.
We actually have different things, and this is not something that I thought was something that was going to be around. So this is something this is in Florida and other places, school for very young kids. The genderbread man. So this is trying to sow doubt about kids, about their gender identity. It's trying to say that, they could be whatever they want to be. This is inappropriate.
And then he ate it in front of everybody. That's Governor Ron DeSantis. His pronouns are he and haw. Really is frightening, though. I mean,
last week, I asked my children if I could check the books that they've picked up from the school. My son picked up this brand new book from the shelves in class, Lawn Boy. He was under the impression it was about a kid that ends up with a gig mowing the grass at Disneyland. I'd like to share a few quotes with you. This first one, just turn it around. On page 19, not that it really matters in 4th grade, at a church youth group meeting out in the bushes, I touched Doug Goebel's and he touched mine. In fact, there was even some mouths involved. Next one, page 91. What if I told you I touched another guy's? What if I told you I sucked it? I was 10 years old, but it's true. I put Doug Goebel's in my mouth. I was in 4th grade. It was no big deal. He sucked mine too. And you know what? It wasn't terrible. Page 174. I don't know if I made a sign for this one.
Fonte showed 6-year-olds a cartoon during her sex ed class that featured small children discussing touching themselves because, quote, it feels good. Here's what that cartoon sounded like.
How come my penis gets big sometimes and points up in the air?
That's called an erection.
Sometimes I touch my penis because it feels good.
Sometimes when I'm in my bath or when Mom puts me to bed, I like to touch my vulva too.
You have a clitoris there, Kayla, that probably feels good to touch the same way Keith's penis feels good when he touches it. But have you ever noticed that older kids and grown-ups don't touch their private parts in public?
They don't?
That's right, Keith. It's okay to touch yourself and see how different body parts feel, but it's best to only do it in private.
I mean, first of all, I just have a question. Since that seems kind of judgmental to me. I mean, so long as they're teaching kids about masturbation in 1st grade, I don't see why it should only be in private. I mean, shouldn't we learn from the innocence of the children? I mean, truly, if you're on the radical left and you believe that this sort of stuff should be taught to the children, why? I mean, really, isn't that why are you teaching them shame? Are you kink-shaming these children? The bizarre perversity of teaching this to 1st graders is beyond me. But let's be real about this. I don't think sex ed should be taught in public school classrooms at all. I think they should be learning biology. Like basic human biology would be good. We have schools that are churning out kids who don't know basic reading or math. But you're going to let these moron teachers somehow teach your children about sexual values. Makes perfect sense. Sounds great.
And so maybe now you can see, why a bill to limit a school's ability to teach this kind of crap, or if you can even call it teach, to indoctrinate and, impose this kind of inappropriate molestation onto our kids is necessary, right? And what about that you just saw has to do with don't say gay? I wanted to preface that video by saying this, but I forgot to. But I mean, something I wanted to point out, as the bill is actually called, I think it's like the Parental Rights in Education Bill, if I'm remembering it right. That's what it's actually called. And then, for whatever reason, and I don't want to say the left because we don't believe in the left and right over here, but obviously that is what's on the other hand, they're the ones leading the charge. But point is, the way that they're like couching that bill, the parental rights in education, they're saying it's the don't say gay
right.
bill,
No,
right?
they had to change it because, hey, it says parental rights in the title.
And I'm not going to show the video again. But if you didn't notice, that whole, I made the intro, it was kind of long. I kept just showing clip after clip because what I was trying to point out is how the media itself is just referring to it as the don't say gay bill. That's how they're presenting it to people. And you end up with like some really funny situations, like, because the truth is that it doesn't actually say, and we're going to get into the bill and you're going to see it doesn't actually say anything about you can't say gay. What it says is that let's not talk about sex, and inappropriate things with little kids at school. What's up, Eric? Glad to have you, bro. Glad you made it back, bro. Sarah says, because when a child is being taught this, they're actually spiritually having sex with a demon. Propaganda. Man. It's just, I think of it as just literal malign.
But so this is specifically from kindergarten to grade 3. And I'm pretty sure third graders are like 8 years old. So I have a 10-year-old, I have a 6-year-old, and just my experience is that it is so inappropriate. Like, my son is not sexual at all. He's not, it doesn't get brought up with him. And granted, I know kids are different. There's different situations, but I sure as heck don't want some stranger talking about it with my child. That's so inappropriate. Like, my son is 6. He's in kindergarten. That's the last thing he should be thinking about.
Yeah, no, totally. It's completely
and it
inappropriate.
is indoctrination.
Well, a kid, like your job, the responsibility that you're tasked with when you're a parent is like you're bringing this little child into the world that from day one they know nothing. Like, everything that they are about to understand that's going to create their paradigm and outlook and worldview is going to be based off of what you teach them and what you demonstrate to them and what they learn from you. And so your one role as a parent is to protect the innocence of these kids, right? And you're going to know when a kid is ready to get into something like this. And I shouldn't have to be even going through this. This is common sense. But I think that with all the different crazy stuff that's going on right now, like you can almost sort of fail to recognize how ridiculous, crazy, and important this particular topic is. Like, the fact that this is actually going on right now, the fact that those last 2 clips I just showed you, I felt so weird even putting that into one of my, I kept being like, dude, what am I doing? Like, this isn't the kind of content I want on my channel. But I'm like, dude, this is taken at a school board. You know what I mean? Like, this is stuff that's in the school, too inappropriate for me to even share in here. Like I wouldn't be surprised if YouTube would, kick the show off. But meanwhile, this is what teachers, this is what the government, this is what the state, and this is what the world wants, to take your kids away on a bus to teach them. And look at this too. Look at these signs. So God loves all children, not just the straight white ones. So first off, the thing has nothing to do with gay or
God
straight. It's just talking about
people.
The bill is saying they don't want you talking about straight sex either. They don't want, let's let the sex talk stay between the family, right? Between the parents and the kids. We send the kids to school so that teachers will teach them academics. It's okay to say gay. And then you got over here the Disney, so now Disney, like the one of the world's biggest companies, they literally are like up there with Viacom and all them. And they're literally putting, striking, as you guys all know, like all in defense of this bill. And again, just think of that video I just showed you. Consider what it is like. So like, it is so passionately important to the world that the school and the state maintain their right to indoctrinate and molest the minds of children. And practically, like, it really gets into some weird Pizzagate pedo kind of territory. I would feel so uncomfortable even just being in the presence, like having a kid in the room talking about some of this stuff, watching this video. I don't want my kids to see this thing just for that little clip. Meanwhile, in the public school world, you're sending your kid off to school, and that's what they're sitting them around a TV watching.
Dude,
and they don't even, and then they tell them not to tell you. They tell them not to tell you.
Oh, you can tell me. I won't tell your parents anything. Your parents will be in the dark about anything you talk about, which is so wrong.
Yeah.
Like, they want to raise and indoctrinate and like kidnap our kids. Like, steal their minds. And they're so impressionable when they're little. Like, their minds are so fragile and impressionable. It's sickening.
Yeah, Catherine says, and the interesting stats that come out lately about how trans and LGBT, the media portrays that it's like 20%, but it's only 1% totally. And like, right. There's got to be representation in every show and all that. When it's like, dude, that's not. I know, Catherine, I did see that you said your daughter is transgender, and I'm sorry that you're dealing with that. And I saw what you said. Might have been what you thought might have been behind it, but I got relatives that are lost in this matrix hellhole beast world too. It's a fallen world, but all we can do is pray. So I hope that she gets her heart right with God. Two that were, two that aren't. That's real common. Sadly, very, very common now. And then so here you got kids, of course, because now of course you got the high schools, and this goes back like from in Vietnam, like there were high school kids would do school walkouts and protest, So here you had all these schools in Florida that were like, I didn't actually put any headlines or news articles along with this, although this picture is from one of them, but that were doing these planned staged walkouts. And, so that they could protest the Don't Say Gay bill, right, alongside of Disney and all that. And of course, the schools, like, in a proper walkout, it's supposed to be against the school's wishes. And, the point is the school's, like, pretty much just helping them to, accommodating these walkouts. And look, this one, gay is not a bad word. But then this girl says queer is not a dirty word. So she copied her poster. This girl back here copied her poster. Or maybe she copied her poster. Whoa. Hey, Tim and Amber, remember the Bible says to raise your children up in the word so they may return to them. Amen. Million Mile Club, so good to see you, dude. Tell me that, swamp rat.
Yeah.
Man, I miss you, buddy. And you're right. The Bible does say that. It says, raise up your children in the way of the Lord, and when they are old, they will not depart from them. Something like that.
Plant that seed.
Amen. Yep. Oh, Donna, good to see Donna's join us. Walt Disney was 33rd degree Mason, and it was a pretty package of pure evil from the beginning. Something I didn't have time to put in this show when we were talking about this Disney stuff, but I'm going to make a separate video about it. But do you guys know about like all the subliminal stuff, the subliminal sexual stuff that's been implanted in Disney movies and shows for like, back from like the beginning? And there's also in Disney World, there's Club 33. He definitely was a 33rd degree Mason, but 33 is something you're going to see pop up all over. Yeah.
So I beat
you to it, Mo.
I buy my kids clothes through like Facebook, not marketplace, but like I'm part of this like mom resale group. So I recently bought this like lot of like 5T clothes for my daughter because she needed a whole new wardrobe, and like a lot of the clothes were like Disney, like princesses and Minnie Mouse, and it's like we don't put that on for our kids. I mean, they definitely do watch TV and stuff like that, but like we're not like a Disney family, obviously. But I almost feel like, I don't know, when she's wearing these clothes, like, I don't know. I feel like uncomfortable almost,
Yeah.
because it's like well, like our foster daughter has like this Moana outfit, and then our 4-year-old has all these like Disney clothes.
You know what it represents, and
I know, and it's like I bought them secondhand. I didn't go to the store and pick them out, but I don't know. I definitely have like.
Hey, speaking of our kids, watch this real quick.
Yes.
This is from like a year ago, and I told the kids.
Oh, hey, Eden.
We went to Monkey Joe's. I know.
I don't know. That one looks pretty.
They wanted this. They
hard
wanted to
for a
see,
little
like,
guy. You want to try?
in, like slow motion, you know. The stunts in this video were performed by very talented kids with amazing skills. Levi has super strength, Eden has super speed, and Elliot has super climbing skills, which is what we discussed. Do not try this at home. You guys are about. Here's my little athlete. This guy's incredible, man. What is he, 1 year? Or
Y'all ready for this?
Even with this kid climbing all over 1 year. Here's my Elliot boy. Here's kid. They wanted to sit in slow motion.
All right, Levi, you gonna tell me how fast you can do it? Go. All right, it's going in quick. Oh, wow. Okay.
This is what we gotta protect.
Already at the top. Already going.
Well, I got a dog in the fight.
Oh, here he comes. Here he comes. Whoa, that was quick. All right, give me 5, dude. Go ahead. Yeah. Y'all ready for this? Oh, that was awesome, Levi. Watch out for it. Wow. Look at some skill. Oh, yeah. He was like an asshole, dude. Yeah, there he goes.
I'm sure this isn't as entertaining anyone else.
No.
Here we go. Just the length of this. Yeah, so.
Oh, that was awesome, Eden.
All right, so moving on. Opponents call it the Don't Say Gay bill. Here's what it says. The Florida bill limits what educators can say about gender and sexuality, and it could affect mental health services for all students. Now, I was going to just put the direct bill in here, but I didn't want to have to. It's not even that long. You guys can easily read it yourselves. It's just a couple pages, but I can often be too wordy. So this is just the New York Times just had a part where they highlighted some stuff. So I used theirs. And then I also kind of, here, let's move it like this. All right. So here's from lines 97 through 101. Instruction on gender and sexuality would be constrained in all grades. Classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3 or in any manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for the students in accordance with state standards. And right off the bat, I just noticed, I was like, dude, like just in the way that the New York Times is presenting this, like even there on the whole don't say gay train, this obviously doesn't mention not gay. They regard that. But no, right here it says in their headline, it says instruction on gender and sexuality would be constrained in all grades. But it clearly says kindergarten through grade 3. Now, don't get me wrong. It should be all grades. Dude, I don't care even for high school. Like the government doesn't like, I don't know. I'm not going to get into that whole thing, dude. But I don't need stranger adults ever like being the ones to teach my kids about sex and all that stuff.
Especially when like they're literally saying that like all of that information will be withheld from parents. So no, thank you.
Yeah. This is a sentence that has earned the bill the don't say gay nickname. And I just put a question mark because it's like, but why? It says you're not allowed to talk about sexual orientation or gender identity. And that shouldn't be a topic that's discussed in these young grades. Like, is being straight also not a sexuality? They don't want you talking about that either. Like, it's the way that it should be. The language is vague in this, and the subject is subject to interpretation. The preamble of the bill further muddles matters. It prohibits not only instruction around gender identity and sexual orientation, but also classroom discussion on these topics. Mm-hmm. You know, and if you're my age or anywhere near my age or older, and you might think back to when you were in school, and there's a such thing as classroom discussion. But if you don't know, you should YouTube what classroom discussions in 2022 look like, because practically that's all school is anymore. Just a big old like open circle feeling fest counseling session where, it's really just a propaganda indoctrination bombardment. Classroom instruction could mean eliminating books in the classroom with LGBTQ characters or historical figures. No, it wouldn't. The way the bill's written. Okay, so this is tell me, you want to talk about gaslighting or straw mans? Like straw men, they're trying to imply here that if this bill were to go through, then gay people in history or historical figures and gay people couldn't be represented at all. That's not true. They're just saying you can't talk about the gay sex that they're having. Like the sex stuff is what needs to go out of it. It's not like Johnny has 2 dads. He's not allowed to say that he has dads. That's not what they're talking about. No. They never suggest that, but that's all you're going to hear the media talk about. And it's fueling what the celebrities feel. But it never mentions gay, blah, blah, blah. Raven Simone, if you remember her from Don't Say Raven, like she's like a super lib kind of. I mean, you know Raven.
Dude, I used to watch that. Don't say Raven. No,
we're saying Don't Say Gay.
No.
What is
That's So Raven?
That's So Raven.
Yeah.
Don't Say Raven.
Shut up.
No, I was thinking the same thing.
Give me a break.
Mark of the Beast says they plan to eliminate homeschooling. There was a family in Europe that killed themselves when CPS showed up. They were homeschooling and called conspiracy theorists.
Oh, wasn't that like really recent?
I don't know, but I know that on a previous episode,
they jumped from like a 7th-floor balcony.
Don't say
Raven.
Yeah. In a recent episode, I pulled out an old Waking Up Wisconsin magazine, and I think the article was written in 2012 when
that's so sad.
When they were talking about in California, that long ago, 10 years ago in California, they were passing laws to say that if you were homeschooling your kids, or if they went to some kind of religious or Christian or private school that didn't have any type of sex education or particularly LGBTQ plus ABC affirming curriculum, then those homeschooled students would be required to I'm looking at myself over here. Then those homeschooling students would be required to go attend a state course on LGBTQ plus acceptance. Okay, so I know I'm sorry, I kind of lost track of where we were going with that. But I'm just as far as what you were saying, Mark Bees, like they're coming down on homeschooling. We homeschool. And anyway, she said, so Raven says, if there's a don't say gay bill, there should be a don't say straight bill. And I did this double face palm here because again, the bill doesn't say you can't say gay. It says nothing about that. And it's so sad to see, like, you can just tell that nobody does their due diligence or reads anything, because all it takes, like we showed in the video before, is that as long as what the media comes out and presents something as is what you're going to turn around and watch everybody else repeat and parrot. That's not news to anybody here. Schools would be also required to notify parents when children receive mental, emotional, or physical health services, unless educators believe that there is a risk of abuse, abandonment, or neglect. Okay, so this is lines 67 through 78 of the bill, the controversial bill. In accordance with the rights of parents, adopt procedures for notifying a student's parent if there is a change in the student's services or monitoring related to the student's mental, emotional, or physical health or well-being, and the school's ability to provide a safe and supportive learning environment for the student. The procedures must reinforce the fundamental right of parents to make decisions regarding the upbringing and control of their children by requiring school district personnel to encourage a student to discuss issues relating to his or her well-being with his or her parent, or to facilitate discussion of the issue with a parent. This parental notification requirement appears to apply to any student, regardless of age or circumstances. This is New York Times talking here. That last part was in the bill. The student could be seeking health services for gender issues, sexuality, depression, substance abuse, a parental divorce, or any other challenge. And it's so obvious, okay? But this is, check it out. It goes on to say, but it's unclear how strictly schools would follow the directive to inform parents of every change in the student's health services. And again, if you're not following me, what we're talking about here is that Florida has now needed to introduce legislation. It's crazy that Florida is the only state even doing this, but legislation has now needed to be introduced just so that we can force schools to tell parents what is being taught. Like literally, we're dealing with the situation where not only are the schools like teaching and perverting the kids with this kind of crap, but they are also fighting tooth and nail for the right to be able to just keep that between them and the students. They tell the kids not to talk to you, dude. They tell them
they're literally like, don't tell your parents. It's okay. It's okay. You can tell me.
No, and they so check out what it says here. It's unclear how strictly schools would follow directives to inform parents of every change in a student's health services. For example, if a child casually reaches out to a counselor to discuss stress about grades, and in conversation also brings up another mental health concern, would parents be contacted? And of course, let's say yes, of course, parents would be contacted. And also, I highlighted counselor here because just as I was reading this, and I'm thinking like, dude, when I was we had school counselors too. But even what's up with that? What about education? What about math, science? What about?
It wasn't like
it is now.
Right.
Like it's now.
But they were always there.
And this is going to get into this because it says right at the end here, like, a counselor plays a role of one of the most trusted people in a student's life. Well, it's also somebody collecting a paycheck to do that. That's a reason I'm not a very big fan of therapy. Not all types of therapy, but of counseling. I like biblical counseling or pastoral counseling. But frankly, and I don't think that every counselor out there, every secular counselor or, family therapist or whatever they want to call themselves necessarily has bad intentions. But frankly, like when you're accepting a check and when you're employing a academically learned, true counseling, it has very little to do with education. And also it doesn't come from like a complete stranger, especially with kids. By the way, I don't send my kids to school to be like the parents do the counseling, but I'm getting way too offbeat. It was just as we're going through all this stuff, like it suddenly started bringing all these common regular things that I hadn't considered before into a closer focus where I'm suddenly like, dude, of course I always knew the whole system was really bad. But the more you break it down, it's like, dude, this whole thing has always been so invasive and out of control from the very structure of it in the first place. But now you just see so it's almost like what's happening now is just like the what would you even call that? When something is, let me finish reading it. A section of the bill allows school staff to skip informing parents. And I don't like this part of the bill because they're still allowing school staff to skip informing parents if they sense that there's a risk of abuse, abandonment, or neglect. Now, that might sound really good. I don't want kids to go home and get neglected. But another thing I don't want is for that teacher that we saw in the video or any of these teachers, these woke teachers, to be the ones in the position of authority to determine what constitutes abuse, abandonment, or neglect. Because you know what a lot of these people consider abuse? Spanking your kid. Like, you know, and I read the Bible tells us to, you know, spare the rod, spoil the child, and to, you know, discipline our kids. And the Bible has a lot to say about that and how important it is, right? Well, you got the secular world saying that that's abuse, right? And now you have a bill that, like, even in this bill that I generally obviously support, but even in this conservative bill, it still says, well, but schools should still be allowed to not tell parents about secretive counseling that they're having and instruction they're giving to your kid if they sense that there's abuse at home. Again, that could just mean getting spanked. That could just mean, you know, voting Republican or being a conspiracy theorist or going to church on Sunday, depending on how radical the teacher is. Counselors often wrestle with how to balance students' desire for confidentiality. Another one, students' desire for confidentiality. I put this little thing right here, K through 3. Remember, we're talking, this thing is isolating kindergarten through 3rd grade. Seriously. What kind of confidentiality does a kindergartner through a 3rd grader, not to mention a high schooler, right? But what confidentiality needs to exist between my child and this stranger teacher? Zero. With the need to keep families informed about their children's well-being. But they argue that a blanket requirement for parental disclosure in all but the most extreme circumstances could lead students to approach counselors less frequently. Oh no, degrading relationships, meaning the relationship between the student and the counselor, which can be some of the most trusting in the students' lives. So yeah, private school. That's right. Homeschool with us. Yeah, man. Okay. How about this one? From lines 106 through 109 in the infamous Don't Say Gay bill that never mentions that you can't say gay. Parents would have the right to opt their children out of counseling and health services is a headline. Okay. At the beginning, you know, I got to make this bigger. At the beginning of the school year, each school district shall notify parents of each healthcare service offered at the student's school and the option to withhold consent or decline any specific service before administering a student well-being questionnaire or health screening form to a student in kindergarten through grade 3. The student district must provide the questionnaire or health screening form to the parent and obtain permission to the parent. I know I read that really bad. I'm not going to read it again, but what they're essentially saying is that parents should have the right to opt out of different health services that the school provides, which again seems pretty common sense, obvious, right? And also that any type of personal form that the child is supposed to fill out or expected to fill out, where the child is going to be, you know, talking about something personal, needs to be ran through the parents first. And so I threw in all these people in the background just going nuts about it. They're just so ticked off, man. They're like, then Disney's like going out, you know, like the whole world is just enraged that there's parents and legislation that is going to attempt to actually rescue these kids from the clutches of these molesters that they're, you know what I'm saying? It's just like such a weird world, dude. It's like the crazy abuse that's going on in school. Meanwhile, the whole world is like rallying in support of it. Parents could sue schools. Here's the last part I stuck in there. This is from lines 129 to 130. But parents could sue schools from violating the vaguely written bill, or for violating it, I'm sorry. And districts would have to cover the cost. So the school would have to pay for the court fees if they were to break these rules. If a concern is not resolved by the school district, a parent may bring an action against the school district to obtain a declaratory judgment that the school district procedure or practice violates this paragraph and seek injunctive relief. A court may award damages and shall award reasonable attorney fees and court costs to a parent who receives declaratory or injunctive relief. This is the enforcement mechanism that supporters say would give parents a way to hold schools accountable, and which educators say could create a chilling effect. Shawnee M. King, a University of Florida law professor, noted that the idea of deputizing parents to enforce law at schools' expense had previously been used in the legislation limiting discussion of critical race theory. And this is the way it resulted. It resulted in schools preemptively canceling events and removing reading materials from shelves in order to avoid expensive litigation. The combination of the bill's broad, vague language and punitive enforcement mechanism could lead to a similar dynamic. And to that, I say thumbs up, because frankly, if like the school has, if there's any books on those shelves that the student, that school, think about that. what this just said is when the critical race thing happened, there was similar legislation for that, right? And it caused schools to preemptively get rid of all these materials because they were afraid, oh no, now parents are going to be able to sue us because the parents aren't going to like this stuff that we actually want these kids reading. So man, I guess now they can't read. Do you see like how the school, like what's up with why do they have a desire to do this in the first place? Paul joins us. Hey, Paul. Haven't seen you in here, buddy. The indoctrination campaign for public schooling started in Austria in the 1800s. That's right, the Prussian school system. They've planned this all for a very long time. Right. That's absolutely right. And it was also like, you know, there's some connections between the Nazi government style as well as modern public school and the Industrial Revolution, and like the factory. I forget how I want to word what I'm trying to say. I have an EMF bag for my phone too. That's a good idea, dude. I think an EMF is going to be coming soon. Oh, Morgellons hopped in. Hey, Morgellons. Glad you're here. Is that what you're trying to show me? Good to see you, sweetie. Sorry to call you sweetie, but it's a term of endearment. I got too many.
You got too many sweeties.
Too many sweeties. but only one main. I mean, she's my main squeeze. But you are my sweetie. Renee's my sweetie. Sometimes I call the ladies I like. Anyway, so yeah, I'd say that's good. Here's the last slide. Amber, what does this remind you of?
Oh my gosh. Seriously?
Yeah, what does this remind you of?
Okay. So that's so funny. Our 6-year-old Levi, he likes to sleep without a shirt. A lot.
Often, not all the time.
Right.
Sometimes. But when he does, he always makes a point. He says, Dad, I'm not going to wear a shirt tonight. You take yours off too tonight. Okay, Dad?
And he'll be like,
and he takes it so seriously. He's like, Dad, we're going shirtless tonight. Okay, Dad? And I'm not usually like a take off my shirt kind of guy, but I'm like, all right, buddy.
That's why it's like extra funny because and then he'll be like, hey Mom, make sure Dad takes his shirt off tonight when he goes to bed to sleep because I'm not wearing a shirt tonight and we're both going shirtless.
Yeah, it's really important for him that that we do that together. So something I get a big kick out of.
It's so cute.
There was another video when we were talking about this critical race stuff and about how when we're talking about the Don't Say Gay bill, and how it doesn't actually say that at all, but some people are taking it so serious. Well, there's a bunch of examples, but there was one that just cracks me up so much that I'm just going to show it. Amber doesn't know who Ron Perlman is. If any of you guys happen to know about this, but
okay.
Ron Perlman. Well, no, I mean you're just a baby, Ron Perlman.
Really,
dude, I don't really care about it.
I was born in the 1900s, as my coworkers have pointed out to me.
Yeah, no, you're
my
old.
young coworkers. They literally said the 1900s, and I was like, what? I was born in 1990.
So, anyways, it's okay. Morgellons doesn't know who Ron Perlman is either. That's funny, buddy. So listen. Ron Perlman is just an actor. He's got a real deep voice. You would know his voice probably better than you'd know his face, but you will recognize his face. I know him well because he's the narrator for a video game series called Fallout. One of my favorite secular activities, playing that game. I just love it. Yeah, he's the old guy in Sons of Anarchy. That's right. He's in Sons of Anarchy. He's dumb, man. Like, no, this show's not all about insulting people. I try hard not. We try to stray away from that kind of attitude. But he also played Hellboy. That's
Steve.
Right.
I just insulted.
What he
Steve.
said, the 90s are part of the 1900s.
Okay, no, because.
No, so listen, Steve, Ron Perlman. I want to show you this clip because you have to see this in real time because this is. If you guys haven't seen it, just hilarious. And I don't want to just call the guy an idiot, but he pretty much is just begging to be called that when he's going to be literally going onto the internet, putting this out there for the public to see. I just took this from Steve.
Good morning, Governor DeSantis.
Oh.
It's Ron here.
We knew Ron. Yeah, thanks.
Don't say gay. Don't say as the first two words in a sentence spoken by a political leader of a state.
Never spoke the sentence, and it's not in the bill.
United States of America don't say.
What do you care? You're from the Congo.
Don't f***ing say, you f***ing Nazi pig. Say. First Amendment. Read about it.
Read about it.
Then run for office.
Read about it.
You piece of shit.
Okay, so first off, he's...
And I'm sorry for the language, you guys. It's just that, like, I think it's a good reflection of, like, that whole topic. Like, it's so ridiculous when you read the bill, man. I can't imagine a single parent or a reasonable person that would read that bill and not agree with it and say, oh, it's about time somebody introduced this, right? But you have people that would probably otherwise agree with it and support it that just don't actually look into anything, that are like, there's a bill out there that says don't say gay, which, mind you, I wouldn't mind a bill about that. We should be able to say, what a dumb thing, right? But it just goes to show that it works and people are actually falling for it. So I got a big kick out of it.
Wait, what's his name?
His name is Ron Perlman.
Okay. I do know the actor.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, it is all right. Hey,
Dude, I don't know.
Ever heard of Sons of Anarchy?
That's what I'm saying. No.
Ever heard of Jax Teller?
Nope. I don't know these things.
Ever heard of Clay?
Yeah, I do know a Clay. That's
My brother.
That's your brother. My brother. So listen, guys. Let's see what Steve Stevenson says. These people don't actually read it, right? And that's the point. And so it's like a funny video, but that was kind of the theme of our whole coverage of this topic. Everyone's like, yeah, it's all right. All right, so you guys, we're approaching an hour, 30 minutes, and we're going to be wrapping this sucker up. But thanks to everybody that joined. This was a really good time. Feel free to holler in the comments really quick if you want to say something before I take off. We do have something else, one more thing to show you. Some of you have seen it before, but a good friend of the channel, Morgan, which if you guys haven't seen, like he made us a nice little message that I'm going to share. He
loves us.
He's just a huge fan of the show. And it's cool because a lot of people know him too. He's got a relative amount of success in the world. Last person I would have ever suspected to be a fan of Fallen World Films or our show Tales from the Fallen World. So, you know, I'm honored. Like, I'm not often starstruck, but I was really surprised. I'm sure you were as well.
Right.
So those of you who have seen this, you've already seen it, but I'll let you know that this guy will be is working on another message right now as we speak for the channel because he just wants to help us so much. So we're gonna have a lot of fun with our friend Morgan. He's gonna almost become like a third member of the show. I'm thinking he might have pop up in every show just to send in a little message. But I got to work that out with him. Anyways, we love you guys so much. Please be saying your prayers. Take care of each other, and God bless you. And feel free to reach out to us in any capacity that you can. You can reach out through comments. You can email fallenworldfilms@protonmail.com. And that can be for anything from show tips to just saying hi, prayer requests, talking, funny memes, any of that stuff. Love you guys. Take care. We're going to see you next time.
I will never forget the first time I watched Tales from the Fallen World with Tim and Amber. It was, for me, a life-changing experience. Now, I'm not easily persuaded by all that hocus-pocus, mambo-jumbo, sensational headlines, and conspiracy theory. I am simply a man who calls it like I see it. But as a world-class celebrity, I have unfortunately seen more than I care to admit. Human clones. The Illuminati. The Mark of the Beast. I'm sorry to inform you that these things exist. Now, I don't regard myself to be wise, but it seems to me that when all of humanity stands in the face of an evil force, we would do well to support the efforts of the brave individuals who stand against it. This is why I support the good work being done at Fallen World Films. So please subscribe, like, and share these videos. Let's help this fine young couple to spread their message. Because if we don't turn this thing around soon, our children will inherit less freedoms than the Shawshank State Prison. Take it from me, a guy who sounds like Morgan Freeman.